Mr. Chairman, at this point, we're going to ask, we request to speak to the board concerning the biomass plant that's being scheduled for the city of Gretna. Would you please come forward?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Malloy, and I am a citizen of Gadsden County. I'm a concerned citizen of Gadsden County for a couple of reasons. One is obviously the Gretna Biomass Incinerator, and just recently there's another incinerator for our county announced, which is the city of Quincy Bird Landfill. And we're here today to talk to you about the effects of incineration on our health, our environment, our economy, the economic impacts, good and bad. And I also have Dr. Saff, who is an allergy and asthma specialist from Tallahassee, who's going to hopefully give you some good information about the health effects. As you know, Gretna Elementary is going to be very close to this facility that's been proposed. It's less than, I believe it's 1.8 miles, or not even. The property is adjacent. If you look at a map, there's some property that runs down Highway 90, and it goes back over towards the industrial park. That is all part of the parcel that's going to equal 100 acres. And Gretna Elementary is right there. As the crow flies, it's less than a mile by the air. So I think that the board should be concerned about the effects of pollution that's going to come out of this smokestack. I live very close to the Gretna Elementary. My son has asthma, which is one of my personal concerns in this fight, as well as the health of all of the residents of the county. The Bird Landfill Incinerator is opening, or they've applied for their permit for the city of Quincy. It's on Selman Road, directly across the street from the hospital. And they have been found to be in violation of their emission standards and burning prohibited materials in the past. Southern Electric had a biomass plant back in 1985 on the old Attapulgis Highway, the site of the Floridan Mining Company. The biomass incinerator for the mining company started out being touted as the latest and greatest technology. At the time, it received numerous awards from the state of Florida, the governor of Florida, engineering associations, the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. By 1990, it had polluted Quincy, made residents physically ill. There was a blue haze over the city of Quincy. For those of you that were here during that time, you probably remember it. You may not know that it was a biomass incinerator, but that's what it was. And Carl Owenby was one of the gentlemen that was instrumental in fighting that power plant. The proposed incinerator that they're talking about for Gretna is going to burn, it's permitted to burn 100 tons of wood an hour. It's going to burn 600,000 tons of wood a year. And there's going to be 310 diesel trips per day carrying wood, ammonia, and dry sorbent, which is sand, and ash back and forth in and out of the county. Here's some of the emissions that's going to come out of this facility. All told, it's about 1,500 tons that they're being permitted for of very noxious gases, particulate matter, especially for children, young developing children. There are dioxins and furans that will be coming out of this facility. Small amount, but still, dioxins and furans are some of the most toxic chemicals known to man. There are no safe levels for these chemicals whatsoever. So again, this information comes straight from the Adage Hamilton air permit that's submitted to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. You can go to that site and download those documents and have a look at them yourself. Recently, the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, had just announced that they are tightening down on their air and water quality standards. The state of Florida, in particular, they have proposed to strengthen national ambient air quality standards for the entire United States because of the ground level ozone, which is created by a mixture of carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, and some other compounds that are going to be coming from this facility. So power plants, trucks, all other kinds of emissions are responsible for ground level ozone, which is responsible for a lot of the maladies that Dr. Sapp is going to talk to you about here in a second. Recently, they also, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, announced a plan to set water quality standards in the state of Florida. A national first. This is the first time the Environmental Protection Agency has said to a state that you will now follow the standards that we're going to dictate to you because of our water quality is so bad, along with our air quality. It is known in the medical community that the standards for air and water quality standards to protect the public health are insufficient, and the EPA has even come out and said that. And you're seeing the evidence of that with these new proposed regulations. This is a map of all of the known proposed biomass plants for the United States that we know of. There's a group called Energy Justice. They're available on the web at energyjustice.net. This map is there. Most of the plants in our area are not on there yet. But those are the proposed in the green, and the expanding ones are in the orange. So if you look at the Panhandle area, and we know that the air is mostly coming from the west, their adage is proposing to build 100 of these facilities by themselves. There are over 400 of them in a pipeline throughout the United States that we know of. Our air quality is going to be significantly degraded, and the EPA and the Department of Environmental Protection does not look at this big picture in terms of permitting. They don't add them all up as they go. They look at the existing standard of what's in the air, and they say, okay, and then they look at what this company says they're going to emit, and they add them up and put it in a Windows computer and do some air models. They do not look at all of these hundreds of facilities that are going to be located around our country. In the Panhandle alone, we have Port St. Joe, we have Panama City, we have Valdosta, some other ones, Zuck. Two in Hamilton County.
Yeah, we have Gainesville. The Buckeye plant is expanding. There's every day they seem to be popping up more and more. Marianna is going to convert a coal power plant to biomass. And you add up all the emissions from these, you begin to see a picture of concern, hopefully, that we all share. Adage is half owned by a French corporation known as Arriva. This is a $250 million project. By the time it's constructed, the federal government will hand them a $75 million check from the federal taxpayers. That comes straight out of the stimulus funds. Additionally, up to 65% of the capital costs for these facilities are borne by the taxpayer through additional incentives in the form of renewable energy credits, subsidies, and tax abatements. We're going to get 24 permanent jobs, so they say in Gretna, in Gadsden County. And if you ask me, I don't think it's worth it. Our children's health isn't worth it. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And also on the political side of it, the county commission says they have no involvement because it's a City of Gretna project. However, the county commission has funded the Gadsden County Chamber of Commerce, who's directly responsible for bringing this facility to our county. There are no public hearings planned at the city or the county level. Adage will be filing for their air permit on February, according to their engineer. I was sitting in a meeting with them the other day. The public has 14 days from the date that permit is filed to submit a complaint to the Department of Environmental Protection and have future standing in opposition of the project at the state level. So I asked publicly, how can anybody be prepared to submit a complaint without having any information at the public level? I think it's a travesty, personally. The public is unaware, they're uninformed, and we're unrepresented. If you'd like to read any of the additional information, we set up a website, biomass.us, and if you want additional information about this presentation or any other things that we state, you can send an email to that address, admin@biomass.us. And Dr. Saff, would you please come up and give us the health effects, if you wouldn't mind.